Yeah, look, the NRL need to blow up the bunker. They do. They need to get the bunker should only be there in try-scoring situations. To now get involved where the bunker's trying to act as the eyes in the sky and tip to the referee that this has happened and that's happened, shouldn't be allowed in the game because you're not going to catch every incident and immediately just opens up yourself to allegations of inconsistency. Second to this, we need to get back and we need to get back to the place in the game where if you are injured and you're not in any direct area of play on. This idea, because the coaches tip to the trainers, mate, when we need it, the trainer's down there on the sideline, he's got communication to the coach in the box. So before he runs out when a player's down, he gets communication from the coach, slow it down, stop play. That's if they need the rest. If they don't need the rest, then they treat the player and say nothing to the referee. And to try and pretend, the argument against this, which is one I hate, is that, well, the referee's not a doctor, he shouldn't have to decide. Okay? It's irrelevant. The fact is, if it's not interfering with play on, because coaches are using it as a tactic, as Brad Arthur alleged last night. There was no doubt Penrith were on the back foot. Parramatta were just starting to get a little bit of momentum at them, and they stopped play and allow Parramatta defence, the Penrith defence, to have a break and get reset, and then go on and obviously defend that next period of play. So it's a tactic by the game. This rubbish argument that you actually have to, the referee's not a doctor, so he can't continue to play on. It's just rubbish. For years, you play on. That's the way the game was. And it was a tough man's game. Jack Gibson said the only excuse you have for laying down on the ground is if you've got a broken leg. That was the way they played it back then. Now, obviously, that wouldn't happen these days. But the fact is, it is a tough man's game. We don't want to be taking it out, and we don't want it to be used as tactics, which is what they are. And it gets worse when the bunker gets involved and starts tipping to the referee and needs to pull up play because this or that's happened. It shits fans all the way, and it really does. I think the best thing the game can do is to get rid of it. We can't get rid of the technology completely because everyone will say, well, you've got it, why don't you use it? But we've got too much technology in the game at the moment.
We saw an example of it firsthand, to your point, Kenty, in the Tigers Tales from Tiger Town documentary that was on Fox League, where Madge Maguire went apoplectic in the box, telling his assistant, Wayne Snoopy Collins, stop the game, because someone was injured. So,
and
Kenny's right, it is a tactic that coaches can look to use to their advantage. And, it's professional football, so gamesmanship is heavily involved.
In the old days, unless you were in the play the ball area, the game was just play on. And if you were in the play the ball area, or if you're the tackle player that couldn't get up to play the ball, the referee would walk over, pick up the ball, move it 10 metres infield and play on. Yeah. That's the way it's got to be. It's become a tactic. So once again, coaches have found a way to they get given a favour where they're allowed to have their injured players looked at, and then so they start faking injuries to use it as a tactic, a stalling tactic. It's just not on, and the game gets fooled every time, and the fans are smart enough to know what's going on. Everybody could see what's going on. And this idea that they keep going about player safety, look, when you take the field in a rugby league game, you accept there's an inherent risk that you're going to get some injury. And the fact is, and they say, if you play rugby league, there is a 100% chance that you will get an injury. That's just the way. At some point in your career, there hasn't been a player who's ever played the game who's never missed a game with injury. That's a fact. So when it happens, move on. But to allow it to sit there and be a tactic, and we want this attrition in the game. And last night was one of the great games of football. I think probably the best game we've seen this year, because you had two teams who were courageous, who were tough, who went out and their mental toughness especially was the best we've seen all year. They refused to give in. They didn't cop the excuse that some teams have, or the mentality that some teams have, where it's okay for you to score because we'll score next. They went out and they defended, they played tough and they played hard, and they deserved what they got. And the game, look, I'm not saying if it had been any different, Parramatta would have won the game, but the game deserved better than that. And to be mired in this controversy now over that. It was such a great game of football, and it's what we want. And these two teams really deserve to be applauded for what they did last night. And to sit down now and have a sour taste in your mouth because of tactics like that, and it's not a knock on Penrith because every team does it. They just did it last night when it mattered. But the game needs to be adult here and just say, you know what, guys, we tried to help you out by allowing stoppages for injured players, but you've abused the rule we've given you, so we're going to take it out of the game.